My heart's in the highlands. My heart is not here. My heart's in the highlands, chasing the deer. Chasing wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the highlands, wherever I go. Robert Burns. Scotland is a country north of Great Britain. It is divided into three national regions, the southern uplands, the central lowlands, and the highlands and islands. The capital of Scotland is Edinburgh. A lot of places in Scotland are national paradise, still untouched by man. Scotland has not always been a part of the United Kingdom. The Scottish people had their own royal family and fought the English for centuries. In 1603, King James VI of Scotland became King James I of England and Scotland. He moved to London and this ended Scottish independence. In 1707, Scotland formally became part of the UK when the government of Scotland moved to Westminster in London. Now Scotland is governed from London, but in many ways it is a separate nation. It has its own capital city, Edinburgh, its own language, Gaelic, spoken now by only a few people in the islands. Scotland managed to keep its own legal and education system. Scotland still has different marriage laws to England. Young couples in England must have their parents' consent to get married if they are under 18, but in Scotland they can get married at the age of 16 without their parents' consent. There are only about 5 million Scots, and most of them live in the southern part of the country called the Lowlands, where the major cities are situated, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, and this is where most of the jobs are. Glasgow is the industrial capital of Scotland. It is the third largest city of Great Britain. Scotland's traditional industries such as coal, steel, and shipbuilding have declined, but the government has invested a lot of money in Scotland to develop it as an important European center for computer production. Many of the large American and Japanese electronics companies have set up factories in southern Scotland, and there are now many smaller Scottish companies which specialize in computer equipment. However, most of the high technology parts such as chips and disk drives are still imported. North of Edinburgh and Glasgow are the highlands of Scotland, mountains with few trees, many sheep, wild deer and golden eagles, deep valleys, clean rivers, and cold lochs. Loch is a Scottish word for lake. It is lonely, wild, and empty land. Only 2% of British population live there. Most of them are farmers, although there is also a lot of forestry and fishing. Large area of the highlands are kept by rich people for salmon fishing and deer hunting. Most Scottish whiskies are also made in the highlands. The Inner and Outer Hebrides are remote islands with small fishing and farming communities. Some of the people still speak Gaelic, the ancient Celtic language of Scotland. Scotland is also the land of myths and mysteries. Every castle is said has its ghosts. And of course, everyone knows about the Loch Ness Monster. The first report of the Nessie was in 565 AD. Since 1934, thousands of people claimed that they have seen the monster, but no specific explanation of the mystery has been given. Scotland is famous for its own culture. Many Scottish names begin with Mac or Mick, which means son of. Each clan or family name has its own tartan. The tartan is a checked cloth used to make the kilt, Scotland's national costume. There are many different tartan patterns. Most people only wear their tartans for special occasions, like weddings and Burns Night. Robert Burns is Scotland's national poet, and people have a big dinner every year to celebrate his birthday on the 25th of January. Everyone reads poems and sings songs written by Burns. Nearly every week in summer, there are Highland Games somewhere in Scotland. The biggest games are at Cowell. There is a wonderful atmosphere. People from all over the world come to watch or take part. Over 3,000 bagpipers, bagpipe is the national musical instrument of Scotland, and drummers play all day. There are Highland dancing competitions as well as events like throwing the hammer or tossing the caber, throwing a large tree as far as possible. The athletes wear traditional kilt. Edinburgh is famous all over the world for its arts festival, which takes place every August. There is an official festival for theater, opera, classical music, comedy, and a fringe festival, where you can see a big variety of plays, concerts, dance performances, and films. Many of the fringe performances are by amateurs. Finally, there is the military tattoo, a parade held in Edinburgh Castle.